Hi everyone, my name is Anna Martha Ayala and I'd like to welcome you to my YouTube channel. In this video, I wanted to clarify or give even more details of why in the last video that I did about the lunar nodes in Aries and Libra, the North Node in Aries and the South Node in Libra, I mentioned that there's a possibility that there's going to be an escalation of war. And also I started to think about like what Uranus will do with when it goes into Gemini 2, 3 years from now. Um, and this whole thing about artificial intelligence and chat GPT and what I think that the possibilities are going to be. Now, disclaimer, I am not a mundane astrologer, but I just wanted to share with you my thoughts on specifically the war comment that I made on the lunar nodes video. So for an astrologer to make a prediction, there should be the rule of three. And there are a lot of things that um, have even more than three instances. So this is my reasoning. Um, Aries is ruled by Mars. Mars is the planet of war. The sun is exalted in Aries. Now, we know from the news that France, who is ruled by Leo, meaning that it's ruled by the sun, is creating all kinds of commotions in Africa. Let's just put it that way. And that the Russians are setting up some kind of camp over there or doing whatever it is that they're doing. So you have too many players with the Libra Aries combination. And I just wanted to mention, for example, China is ruled by Libra according to the degree theory. The UK is ruled by Capricorn, but it has a Libra rising. Aries is the rising sign for Japan. And the United States has Saturn in Libra in the seventh house, which is an exalted position. So when the United States goes to war, we're a force to be reckoned with, right? Um, one of there's a few things that are happening, right? Mars will go into Libra starting August 28th, meaning tomorrow, the day that this video is released. Mars will go into Scorpio, which is the ruler of Scorpio, from October 13th to November 24th. There is an eclipse in Libra at 21 degrees on October 14th. So you have, and then there's a new moon also on October, I think is 13th. No, excuse me. The new moon in Scorpio is November 13th. So Mars in Scorpio, the new moon in Scorpio. Scorpio is ruled by Mars. You have the eclipse on October 14th, which is in Libra. And then on top of that, you have Uranus getting close to a fixed star called Algol. And I will share my screen so that you guys can see what how it's spelt, right? Wait a minute here. So let's say this is the way you write Algol. And this fixed star, it is the worst star in the heavens. This is the demon star. That's what the astrologers, the old astrologers called it. It's I don't know if you guys are familiar with the story of Perseus and Medusa. The Medusa was the one that had the snakes in the her hair, and if you looked at her, that you would turn to stone. It's associated with death by decapitation, and it's associated with violence. It's according to the ancient astrologers, it is the most unfortunate, violent, and dangerous star in the heavens. However, it does bring protection um, against evil eyes, against bad spirits, curses, and it also denotes wealth. So it depends on what phase this star is at. And Algol is composed by two stars. One is larger than the other. Let me stop sharing the screen here. One is larger than the other, and every 3 days, the large star eclipses the small star. And that causes the light to dim for about 10 hours every 3 days. And when it dims, that period is considered to be evil, malefic, like the worst of the worst, right? So Uranus will be approaching within like a 2-degree orb because Algol is at 26 degrees 10 minutes on the Western astrology, right? The one that we use. So Algol will be conjuncted by Mars in Taurus on June. Well, excuse me, Mars in Taurus Mars enters Taurus on June 10th, 2024. But Mars in Taurus will conjunct Algol July 15th and 16th. So um, by the end of May 2024, it's within a 2-degree orb. So that's a period that is highly sensitive. But I think that the action is going to start this fall with the eclipses um, in on October 14th for all of the things that I mentioned. Um, Again, there's a lot of countries over there on that side of the world that have that Libra component. So I am thinking that either China is going to invade Taiwan or China is going to create some kind of ruckus somewhere. Um, Things, maybe France will be one of the players that initiates something, some kind of conflict in Africa. I mean, things can get really heated really quick. And like I said, Mars enters Scorpio October 13th through the 24th. There's a new moon in Scorpio on November 13th. And then you also have the eclipse on October 14th at 21 degrees Libra. So that fulfills the rule of three. Now, am I saying that we're going to go to war? No, I'm not saying that, but maybe with the Uranus component, maybe there could be some kind of like nuclear almost accident or something, because Uranus rules nuclear, warfare, right? Nuclear science, let's put it that way. And with it being so close to our goal, maybe, remember like Fukushima with Japan, they had like that. Thank God it didn't turn out to be it could have been worse, let's put it that way. It was a bad event, but things could have escalated big time. Maybe it's just that type of a scare, or maybe Russia threatens Ukraine again with the nuclear plant. I mean, but but the war energy is there. Mars energy is there, and it's a lot, right? So that's why saying that things can escalate to a bigger war, not necessarily the Ukraine-Russia war. So, I did look at other things that can happen, right? Where Pluto is going to once again be in Aquarius, starting next year, January 22nd through September 1st of 2024. So again, Uranus rules Aquarius. Uranus is coming close to our goal. So there's a lot of stuff again that's happening that we'll see how it turns out. Let's hope and pray that it all mellows out and all is good. So the second part that I wanted to talk to you guys about is when Pluto goes into Aquarius. So with Pluto and Aquarius, Pluto is control. Aquarius rules the people of the nation, and it also rules freedom. So the way that that translates is that Pluto is going to control the freedom of the people. Nicola had done a video with Astrolala that got taken down during the pandemic. And he expressed that this would be the war against the people. This, he called it the war against humanity, to basically quote him. So, how are they going to try to control the freedom of people? So I started thinking, and I said, okay, that has to be when Uranus, the ruler of Aquarius, enters Gemini. Why Gemini? Because what does Gemini rule? Well, before we get into that, um, before Uranus leaves Taurus, in my opinion, they will digitalize the currency. Cash will be done away with. The pandemic was a great testing ground where you had to use your debit card or your credit card and they wouldn't allow cash. I don't know how that's going to work when there is a state of emergency, like a hurricane or an earthquake or something like that, that people don't have their debit cards, don't have Wi-Fi, can't get access to their funds because of things beyond their control, right? Because of the cell towers are down, because of a hurricane or an earthquake or a natural disaster. You have to use cash. That's the only thing that's available. And I speak from experience because I have a lot of experience with hurricanes going through South Florida, right? So I don't know if they've thought about this, but hey, well, I guess we'll find out. But anyway, before Uranus leaves Taurus, I do anticipate that we will switch to some kind of digital currency, a digital US dollar, digital euro, etc. Right? So now when Uranus enters Gemini, I think that that's when the control is going to be trying to be enforced. And how are they going to do that? Well, think about all the things that Gemini rules. Gemini rules cars, right? Transportation. So it's no secret that Tesla has been testing an automated car that can take a person from point A to point B, right? They're also testing a truck, or they're trying to, make it happen. In addition to that, you have AI, right? Artificial intelligence, that they are trying to find as much information from the general public, from everywhere, what people like, what people don't like, whatever you're into, you watch on YouTube or wherever, okay, to gather information. So, uh, what happens if you have an electric car that you don't comply with something that the government says? Well, they can basically, maybe with AI, they can shut the car down, right? Because you didn't do whatever you were supposed to do. Um, that's what I'm trying to think ahead, right? Also, any person that drives as a taxi driver or an Uber, a Lyft, those people that are employed by those companies, well, if you have a car that can take a person from point A to point B, you're going to be out of a job. So you need to find something else that you would want to do, or maybe go study something else. Um, Gemini rules hands, right? Hands and fingers. So stuff with air conditioning, um, maybe a massage therapist or some kind of therapist that you use your hands, a respiratory therapist, right? Respiratory lungs, Gemini, hands, Gemini. See if maybe you can do something like that. So, for example, I think another thing that can be affected is if you work for a car dealership, maybe they might say, hey, the person can buy directly from the manufacturer, right? We can buy directly from Ford or Chevrolet or um, Toyota, Honda. I mean, whatever car you drive, you don't have to go through a dealership to get it, like to eliminate the middleman, right? So, because Gemini rules cars. So those types of jobs will can be modified or eliminated. Truck drivers, again, automated trucks. You get maybe robots to load the trucks, and then the trucks drive by themselves to from point A to point B. Now, is all of this going to happen on day one? No. But during Uranus transiting Gemini, that's a period of 8 years. Over 8 years, by then, yeah, I think maybe those are the things that can happen. Another thing, Gemini rules books, magazines, newspapers. So I anticipate that all of those are going to be digital going forward when Uranus enters Gemini or is transiting Gemini. Because, the e-readers have been out for a long time. And I think that's basically the way that it's going, right? Um, for those of us that are old school and like our regular books that we can highlight and take notes, make sure that you buy your favorites because they're going to be collector's items. And if this does happen, then people won't be able to buy regular books anymore or magazines or newspapers because they will all be digital. Um, Gemini also rules IDs, your passport, driver's license, any form of documents will all be digitalized, I'm thinking. So because Gemini rules hands, maybe what is it? Your fingerprint is going to be your ID going forward. So you might want to travel. They're just going to scan your fingerprint, like your thumb, because people use that for the iPhone now, right? And it's been in place for a while now. Or maybe for you to sign in on a computer, you're going to have a digital ID to enter the internet, and it's going to be based on your fingerprint or some stuff like that, right? Some stuff that we can't imagine now because of all of the AI, but they're thinking about these things or a potential of it. Obviously, the other thing that Gemini rules is cell phones and computers. So we already know that some phones people use their digital fingerprint, right? To as a sign-in code, right? To instead of having a 4-digit or a 6-digit code, You use your fingerprint, computers the same way, but also think that if you work for any of these institutions, um, passport, DMV, right, the motor vehicle place, and selling phones, selling computers, all of these jobs may be downsized. So have a plan B in action. Think about how AI might affect your position as it stands now. Because I imagine that when the currency does go digital, the need for bank tellers are going to be reduced. If you can do everything via the computer for a mortgage, a car loan, deposits, and we all do online payments anyway. Um, all of these jobs are going to go away, So, and again, I'm not saying this to scare anybody. I'm just giving you a heads up of the ideas that I have about things that are going to be happening to put it into practice. So you have a plan B just in case it does come true. The other thing, Gemini rules early childhood. Okay. I would, if I had a small child, or a small grandchild, a young child, I would not be putting their pictures up on social media. Not Facebook, not Twitter, not any social platform. I don't know if you guys saw the movie that came out recently, The Sound of Freedom, and all of the stuff that happened in that movie. And now with AI creating, actors and actresses that aren't even real, that the places that they show don't exist. It's all computer animated. So, and I personally would not be putting any of my information on a social platform. Whether you're single, divorced, a widow, where you live, what you like, what you don't like, because you don't know how they're going to use this information going forward. Um, I don't like, well, I don't like the unknown, right? That's why I studied astrology, so I can have some kind of way to predict what's going to happen in the future. Now, obviously, um, we're not gods, the astrologers, right? So, but the less they know about you, the better, right? Um, so some of the remedies that I was thinking that you could do for this type of thing, well, get yourself a bicycle, because if they control your electric car, they can't control your bicycle. At least you can go from point A to point B. It might take you a little longer, but at least you can get there, right? Maybe buy a regular car, gas powered, diesel powered car. Um, and limit your exposure on social media. The less they know about you, the better. And of course, like I said before, any industry that is ruled by Gemini, transportation, short trips, drivers, um, delivery service, they will try to automate all of these things because Uranus will be in Gemini. So writers, anybody that writes for a magazine, a journal, a newspaper, you have this chat GPT that's writing stuff for kids in college where the professor has to, check to make sure that the kids aren't cheating and getting away with a paper that was written by a computer, right? And I know that we're in the infancy stage of these things, or I think we are. Um, but these are all things that I was just brainstorming about. So I just wanted to share with you guys. And again, like the car dealerships, they might just allow people to buy directly from the manufacturers. So that will also put a lot of people out of work. Um, So I promise that the next video that I do will be a little bit more cheerful, but I wanted to explain the reasoning behind why I said the war could escalate. And then I started to think about, wait, let me give them a heads up of at least my ideas on what Uranus and Gemini is all about. And I know I'm like, at least 2.5 years way ahead of time. But you need time to make plans, right? So pay down your loans, live within your means. You don't need to drive a Ferrari or you don't need to drive, an expensive car. Um, who are you trying to impress, right? Be conservative in what you do. Just cover the basic necessities because if war does break out, talk about inflation. Oof, it's not going to be pretty. Anyway, I thank you for your time and attention. If you do like the content of this video or you think that this video can be helpful to someone else, please share it. Subscribe to the channel and give it a thumbs up. I really do appreciate the time that you take to watch all of my videos. Until next time, bye-bye.